Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for August 2nd to August 8th of 2015. And on August 2nd, we have the sun. You can see it denoted right here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's in Leo. It's also in the 33rd hexagram, and on the outside of the wheel, we have the chop mark for the 33rd. Numbered from bottom to top, the 33rd goes yin, yin, yang, 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 yang. And then the 33rd hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called the 33rd gate, located right here. And this is the gate of privacy, retreat, active withdrawal, and the transformation of a weak position into strength, located in the throat center in an abstract collective energy path in the sensing circuit called the channel of the prodigal, a design of a witness that connects to its harmonic, the 13th gate of the listener, the fellowship of man, universal ideas and values in an ordered framework which inspires humanistic cooperation. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we've got the following activated gates on August 2nd. We've got the sun in the 33rd gate. The earth is in the 19th gate. The north node is in the 46th gate, with the south node in the 25th gate. Mercury is in the 4th gate. With Venus retrograde in the 29th gate. Mars is in the 62nd gate. Then we've got Jupiter also in the 29th gate with Venus. And then Saturn is retrograde in the 14th gate. Uranus is retrograde in the 51st gate. Neptune is retrograde in the 37th gate. And Pluto is retrograde in the 38th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And the neutrino forecast is really just like a weather report. And no matter what your weather, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather's for your pleasure. And as we begin the week, we've got two channel definitions due to the transit field, with Venus and Jupiter in the 29th gate and the north node of the moon in the 46th. We've got the channel of discovery, which is a design of succeeding where others fail and failing where others succeed, which will be with us until August 12th, bringing us the energy that if we make a commitment to something, we have to abandon ourselves to it during that time period. And it's through our experiences that we realize there's no such thing as failure or success, only continual discovery. So this is about being in the now and experience and in the experience of being alive. The defined G center could influence those without to obsess about where they're headed or where they might find love. The defined sacral center could affect non-generator types and feeling busy and having the endurance to work, but don't get used to it. They also might think that they know when enough is enough, which could lead to a premature or abrupt end to something that really needs more time. And then with the south node in the 25 and Uranus in the 51, we've got the channel of initiation, the design of needing to be first. That's going to be with us until November 29, where we might experience some sort of a leap into the unknown. This is an individual channel that empowers through the courage to take a chance on something unknown and deal with the consequences afterwards. Obviously, following your strategy and authority will help you determine if this initiation is correct for you, or if faced with multiple possibilities to experience a quantum shift, which ones, if any, are correct for you. In the mundane world, we're likely to see people become more competitive, pushing the boundaries, getting outside of their comfort zones, which will be shocking to themselves and others, as they will feel the wonder of their own unique spirit. If you experience people acting unpredictably during this time period, recognize that it's a conditioning force that will eventually move on. But this could seem that folks are less in balance while experiencing this foreign energetic. With the defined ego center, people are without a defined heart center, and that's 70% of people, may feel like they have something to prove or make promises or commitments that are not correct for them. And as we had mentioned before, the defined G center can influence people to question where's their direction, where do they find love. Individual circuitry here also. This brings melancholy or a blue feeling that's best used in creative activities. And because Uranus turned retrograde back on July 26th, in the sixth line of the 51, this channel of shock initiation will be defined for the entire time the nodes are in the 25-46 axis. And I'm already seeing this in news events and also in my personal life, where people are just going and doing things that are completely unexpected. Certainly the defined ego center, I see a lot more people expressing their ego when typically they don't. Typically that's undefined for them. So we're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi-Ching line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ra said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day, when talking about these daily shifts of line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. Obviously, if your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. On August 2nd, we begin the day with the sun in the third line, the martyr line of the 33, which is spirit, the attitude that turns retreat into victory, exalted the responsibility and principled retreat based on preservation, but with a determination to persevere. Privacy as a path to success, detrimented a lack of responsibility in retreat. The bridge burner, the drive for privacy that will cut out its own relationships, often cut off its own relationships, often abruptly, the martyr line, this is about a trial and error process, bonds made and broken, and a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. But then later on the second, the sun then moves into the fourth line, so into the opportunist line of the 33, and this shift happens at 9:39 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so you might want to convert that to your local time zone, where the sun in the 33-4 is described as dignity, a lack of turmoil in retreat, exalted, the underlying faith in resurrection that turns retreat into an opportunity for renewal and regeneration, the healthy retreat for regeneration, detrimented without the guiding light of resurrection, the inevitable disillusion that leads to degeneration, forced to retreat, the unable to see its regenerative qualities. Fourth line days, we're moving from the lower trigram to the upper trigram, from the personal process into more of an outlooking outward, with the themes of friendship, companionship, networking, and social interaction. On the third, the sun then moves into the fifth line, leaving the opportunist line, moving into the heretic line of the 33 at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 33-5 is described as timing, exalted. As important as timing itself is the ability to keep a secret one's intentions until the appropriate moment, the ability to keep one's intentions secret, detrimented the tendency to want others to participate in the selection of timing, which can lead to confusion. without a sense of timing, letting others in on the secret prematurely, resulting in confusion. And the fifth line day, the heretic line, this is really about projection. The projection goes from positive to negative. Positive, they could do it, they're the perfect person for that, whatever the thing is. And then if the person doesn't do it, can't do it, doesn't want to do it, for whatever reason they don't meet that expectation, that's when they get punished. Tied to the stake, as it were. So fifth line day, this is a day of suspicion, but also of universalization, where something leaks out and can spread like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video or perhaps a Facebook post that gets millions of viewings. There's a great deal of suspicion and paranoia on the fifth line day, which can impact the nature of relationships. As I said before, if they are projecting on you, then it really isn't paranoia if they truly are out to get you. Seduction also being a theme of the fifth line day. And then also on the third, Mars moves from the 62nd gate in hexagram to the 56th. So this is the gate of stimulation, the wanderer, stability through movement, the perpetuation of continuity through the linking of short-term activity. And Mars is detrimented in the first line of the 56. Which is quality, detrimented the ego drive to make an impression that will misuse energy in trivial pursuits, the drive to stimulate that will express any idea, no matter how trivial. And Ross spoke that Mars about being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. And Mars represents the warrior archetype in mythology. And by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Mars from immaturity to wisdom. On the fourth, the sun then moves into the sixth line of the 33rd hexagram at 8:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun is exalted in the 33-6 as disassociation, the ability to let go, exalted the will to concentrate on revitalization and not be handicapped by persistent recriminations. The ability to let go in retreat, the energy, and to enjoy privacy. And six line days, I like to think about sitting on top of a building, and we don't tend to look at the building so much as what's beyond the building, what's in the neighborhood, what's down the road. So six line days, Ra talked about not getting stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll end up with something banging into your kneecaps or your shins. It's a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around us because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. Like third line days, there can be certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming. And then also on the fourth, Mercury moves from the fourth gate and hexagram, and it moves into the 29th, where it joins Venus and Jupiter. Mercury, again, is the messenger of the gods. This is about communication. Ra talked about that it's about expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music. And what do you need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 29? We might hear people say yes, even when they mean no, because this is the gate of saying yes, the abysmal. The deep within the deep, persistent despite difficulties, has inevitable rewards. And Mercury in the 29-1 it is the draftee, the ability to adapt to struggle when necessary, but not as a permanent state. Exalted, the innate nature to apply energy in times of war and peace, the power to persevere when necessary, but not generally. Detrimented, the deep impressionability whose mark from times of struggle may make the return to normal conditions extremely difficult. Hesitation in making commitments based on past experiences. And then on the 5th, The sun moves from the 33rd gate in the hexagram to the 7, and the earth moves from the 19 to the 13. And so we've got the earth in the 13th gate of the listener, the fellowship of man, universal ideas and values and an ordered framework which inspires humanistic cooperation. This shift happens at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we've got the sun in the 7th gate of the role of the self, the army, the point of convergence. By design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. And the sun in the first line of the 7th hexagram is described as authoritarian, the iron hand, both enlightened and despotic, exalted basic values and rules imposed on a child, the capacity of the self to guide with authority, detrimented the distorted intellect that believes only it knows best, the capacity of the self to insist that its authority is best. And now that we're in a new hexagram, in the first line, remember that the first, second, third line, lower trigram, those are days when people are more looking inward, more absorbed in their own process, with the theme of the first line being that there's a fear or an anxiety that needs to be investigated in the line of the investigator. So it's a day to study, not to act, a day to look into things, not to jump, a good day to deal with things you don't know, can't make sense of, or just don't understand. And then on the 6th, the sun then moves into the second line, leaving the investigative line into the hermit line of the 7th hexagram at 7:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 7-2 is described as the Democrat, the ability to lead by serving the will of the majority, exalted the application of universally accepted systems. When connected to through the alpha channel to the 31, influence and the potential for widespread revolutionary effect on society, the capacity of the self to lead when chosen, detrimented elitism and degeneration by the Democrats of democracy, the capacity of the self once chosen to feel superior than those who chose them. The second line day, everyone's waiting for something. They're waiting to be called, particularly called for their natural talents. It's a day when folks are stuck in their own trip. It's not a great day to have a party or big social event because, people really don't want to go anywhere under that hermit energetic. Then on the 7th, the sun then moves into the third line, the martyr line of the 7th hexagram at 7:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 7-3 is the anarchist, the rejection of any institutional order, exalted, the constant need for change no matter what the prevailing conditions, the drive of the self to express many roles, detrimented the nihilist, the capacity of the self to deny the value of any role. And third line days, this is a trial and error process, bonds made and broken, system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. So things bump into us under that third line energy. So being careful on the roads, being careful swinging doors, swinging elbows, things of that nature. This might be a day when we have bonds made and broken. Again, a trial and error process. It's a good material day, a good day to do business and work on the material plane. But you have to be careful because things can go wrong. But ultimately, those things could lead to discovery. And then also on the 7th, Mercury moves out of the 29 and into the 59. So leaving behind Venus and Jupiter still in the 29. And we talked about Mercury being about communication. So what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 59? Well, I'd expect to hear people talk about intimacy and mating. This is the gate of sexuality, dispersion, the ability to break down barriers to achieve union. Mercury is detrimented in the first line of the 59, which is the preemptive strike. Detrimented in this position the ability and intelligence to recognize, but a deep indecisiveness about how and when to act. The potential of fertility limited by uncertainty. And then on the 8th, the sun then moves into the 4th line of the 7th hexagram at 6:37 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where it is exalted and described as the abdicator, the willingness to accept the judgment of the people and or the rules of law, exalted the grace and wisdom to step down for the benefit of the whole, the capacity of the self to accept the judgment of others. And as we talked about earlier, the 4th line changes our perspective from the lower trigram to the upper trigram, with a shift from an inward perspective to looking outward, again with the themes of friendship, companionship, networking. 4th line days are great for social interaction, and people are more open to networking, to being friendly and social. So no matter what the energies that are conditioning you during the week, just remember that this is about an experience about being a passenger that's riding in a vehicle that's being driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing, no matter what the dramas that beckon to distract us. We're all here just giving the performance of our lifetime on this world stage. Just take some time to observe the play, observe your movie, as well as acting your part by remembering that you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be for August 9th. 2015 should be available on the 8th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. And you can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, and YouTube, as there's New World Birth presences in all those places. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose, and invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I'd love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. Excuse me. And contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com is the way to get instructions on making a donation or get a reading. Certainly, it helps us out here, and you get something really of value. My readings tend to be quite extensive, going 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours to really get into the depth of who you are, and at the higher levels, what's going on that's in your environment that's affecting you, and how long will those transits last. So as always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application during our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. Thanks, everybody. Peace.